Hello, everybody, and welcome. I am Sasha Gilbert. I am your host this evening, and joining me tonight is Miss Margaret Laparena. Welcome, Margaret. Uh-oh, you seem to be muted. Can you unmute yourself, Margaret?
Hello, everyone.
There we go. Awesome. Well, welcome. Also
Well,
joining us tonight is Miss Kimberly. Hello, Kim.
Hello.
Good to have you. Well, I am so excited about our webinar tonight, and all three of us are mothers. We have raised children, and we really understand the importance of money and how that goes into not only managing our household, but how we can teach our children. Now, I do hear a little background noise. I'm not sure which one of you it is coming from, but let's try to get that one figured out here. And we're going to go ahead and get started. To those of you watching, feel free to post your questions or comments in the comment section, and we will try to address those. So today we're going to basically talk about all things money, primarily the importance of financial literacy for mothers, some key financial literacy skills, and then we're going to summarize and give you some action steps and some things that you can do to make sure that you are in the best position possible and that you're setting a good example for your children. So, ladies, are you ready?
yes, I
Yeah.
am.
All right, let's go. So, Margaret, you and I were talking earlier. How important is it for women and especially for mothers to have a solid foundation in financial literacy?
That is very important. Matter of fact, just knowing how to manage your finances and buying it as far as buying groceries, buying supplies for children, that is so important because we can get lost in some of these things and we could spend too much here, spend too much there. But other than that, just learning your financial understanding your financial well-being is what you need to look at.
Absolutely. And Kim, I'm wondering, what are your thoughts on being open with your children when it comes to talking about money and the family's finances?
It's very good to be open with your children and communicate the importance of manage your finances and how to save money and just get that conversation started. Because once you start that at an early age, they'll carry that on into their adulthood and thereafter. Um, So, for me, I'm a military mom, and so it was really helpful to have that conversation because our military members, they have to have a good relationship with their money. It's part of the requirements of serving, and so that was really helpful for me personally, in having that conversation early on. It's always good to, sit down, have the conversation, and say, okay, this is the money coming in, and even now we don't do checks now, but back in the day, I was always having my kids write the checks out. This is a check for the electric bill, and this is where the money goes. We don't live here for free, and so it's always good to have that conversation. Definitely be really open about it and open their minds about it.
Absolutely. Now, speaking of which, one of the reasons we love our job is because I can work at home. Believe it or not, I'm wearing some short shorts right now, but you can't see that. But I'm comfortable at home in my living room
Yeah.
with the green screen behind me. And Kim, speaking of you being a military mom, I understand you are at an Air Force event right now. Is that right?
Yes, yes. My son is an Air Force recruiter, and so a couple of times a month or something, they get all the newly enlisted. They're getting ready to ship out. They're my son's new recruits, and so we all get together and they do their exercise and their workouts. They get time. They have competitions, and then we even had Chick-fil-A tonight. So
Oh,
it's
you're
very
making me so
have
jealous. I
all the
love
families.
Chick-fil-A.
Yeah, so I'm able to do that in my day too, working remotely too.
Incredible. And
Yeah.
Margaret, I know you've got a lot of family and a beautiful grandbaby. Do you enjoy the benefit of being able to work from anywhere?
Oh yes, I love being able to work from anywhere because every now and then I have to go to his games and I'll take my laptop and I'll just work away until he scores and he remind me, Mom. He always called me Mom. I'm
Oh,
at a game.
that
So
is
Wow,
awesome.
that
Well,
is
coming
awesome.
back to financial literacy, when you have a solid foundation and you have mastered some of the fundamental skills, it really takes a lot of the fear away when it comes to planning for the future. Would you ladies agree with that?
Yeah, I
yes.
totally agree with that. Yeah. Hmm.
There were times in my early 20s when my older children were very, very small, and planning for the future was so hard. And it was because we were living check to check. Now, we
Hmm.
made great money. Let me tell you, we made very good money, but we had no financial skills at all. And so that is definitely one of the benefits. What is something else that we can be doing to improve our financial situation, Margaret?
Well, I would always go back to the first money milestone um, in our book is getting a good financial education and learning how to budget.
Hmm.
That's one of the most important thing is budgeting, and it's a good way to manage those finances, and also it avoid helps you avoid making some financial mistakes as well.
You are so right. In fact, we're going to talk about that in a few minutes. Kim, what about avoiding debt? We live in such a now, now, now society where
Yeah,
nobody wants to wait until they have the cash to buy something. What would you advise?
that really just takes self-discipline. Whatever it takes to try to save money. It's, to put money away and pay yourself first. I would recommend that. Always pay yourself first so that you can put money away, so you could buy certain things that you are saving up for. And you could do it the old school way. Just take some cash and put it in envelopes. This is for this. This is for that. The envelope system. I've seen that.
Get out of my head, Kim. I
Yeah.
did that for like 5 years.
See, and
That
it
was
works.
awesome. Uh huh.
Yeah. So
Absolutely.
learning those kind of budgeting skills, just a very simple skill set, and then you're off to the races. You'll be able to buy what you want when you have the money saved up.
Absolutely. And I think being going back to what Margaret said about the importance of a financial education, what that really does is it allows you to make informed decisions. So,
Mhm.
for example, I was talking with another one of our agents earlier today and kind of laughing because, I got this awesome credit card offer in the mail until you actually look at the terms and conditions, until you understand that an interest rate of, almost 30%. I mean, that debt, if I were to max it out, that is going to double like every 2.5 years, the
Yes.
debt. So you charge $3,000. And in 2.5 years, it's going to be $12,000 that you owe if you're not, making payments. But really just having that background will help you to make the best decision for your family, which, as we all know, will help to minimize your stress and create a happier household. So let's keep on going, ladies.
Okay.
These are some of our key financial literacy skills that we're going to be talking about. And I'm kind of curious, Margaret, if you could only pick one, which one do you think you would pick? We've got budgeting, saving, investing, managing debt, and understanding financial products.
I would take budgeting.
Budgeting.
I would. I would
Okay.
because if you may have savings, you may have investments, or you need budgeting in order to put that money into savings or into an investment product, or either understanding, I mean, how you need to understand the financial products, but budgeting is very important.
Because if you don't budget, you won't have any money to save or to
That's right.
invest or okay.
That's
All
right.
right. What about you, Kim? Which one would you say is the most important?
Yeah, I agree also, budgeting. That's where it starts. That's step one. How can you save money if you don't know how to budget? And I don't mean budgeting just I'm paying this bill in your head when it's due that day. A lot of people like to leave that stuff in their head. Budgeting means write it down, have the discipline so that you know what you have at the end of the week when you pay your bills, what's left over. That's going to lead into your savings. And then once you have a certain amount of savings, then you'll be able to invest. But I would say before you invest, you really should be familiar with what kind of products that are out there to invest in.
Oh, absolutely. And Kim, we're going to be talking about that in a
Yes.
few minutes. But,
Yeah.
you know, I always like to kind of stand apart and maybe play devil's advocate. But honestly, I have to agree with you, ladies, because if you don't budget and if you don't discipline yourself, there's just not going to be any money to play with. And I can speak from personal experience before I started on the envelope system. Every time I got a raise, every time I graduated with another college degree and, got a promotion or did whatever, we just increased our standard of living. We're like, oh, we're
Right.
going to eat out more. Now I'm not shopping at Walmart. Now I'm shopping at, Macy's. And
Uh,
it was just, it was
it's the
so bad.
the
I'm
more you make, the
embarrassed
more
to
you
admit
spend.
it, but it's what we
Yeah.
did. A lot of people watching, you may not even know about the store called Gymboree. But let me tell you, my children were dressed really well,
Mm-hmm.
cute, coordinated. I mean, you gotta, parade your kids around in front of everybody and ridiculous. If I could go back, well, we probably wouldn't be doing this webinar because I'd be on a beach with you ladies somewhere drinking Mai Tais and pina coladas. So, those of you watching, stay with us. Just stay with us. This is some really important information that could make your life just so much better. Why don't we dig in a little bit? This is as important as this is. It's my least favorite thing to talk about because you can have two perspectives in life, positive or negative. I am always positive. Ladies, you know that. I try to come up with a positive perspective for every situation. But originally with budgeting, it was very negative for me. I felt like it was limiting me and telling me I can't do something. But what I discovered was that the opposite was true. It actually gave me freedom. Do any of you watching ever suffer from mom guilt? Like you feel bad if you go get a haircut and spend 20 bucks, at a
Yes.
cheap salon, let alone
Yes.
getting your nails done. I mean, right? Mom
Yeah,
guilt is for real
it
and
is
it's
real.
bad. But when you have a budget and you've got that envelope that says mom's fun money, and you also have the envelope for the kids' fun money, you don't have to feel bad. Like, okay, Margaret, you and I and Jody, and I'm kind of hoping Miss Kim might be able to make it. We're going to be going to Atlanta. Guess who's going to the salon before we go? And I'm not going to feel bad about it. It's in the budget. It's fine.
It's in the budget.
What do you ladies have to add to this incredibly horrible yet important topic?
Well, some life lessons. Okay, tracking your expenses. Um, when I first started just getting my budget together, I would look at everything. I would check my bank accounts, check what I was paying, who I was paying, and all of that. However, when you are really keen on checking everything, just tracking everything, and you're looking at everything, you can see when someone's trying to scam you.
Mm,
I have had, um, I wouldn't notice it if I wasn't really keen on that. $1.50 coming out of your account. You don't remember paying anything that was $1.50. Okay. However,
you
you
must
know,
not buy apps like I do on my phone.
yeah, yeah. And so back then, I would call the bank and I'm saying, hey, I got $1.50 that came out of my account. I wanted to know where that went. And so you can stop a lot of scammers, just
That
by
is so
being
true.
That's true.
diligent.
And with AI
Mhm.
technology being able to mimic our voice now
Yes.
and everything else, we really do need to be tracking our finances and paying very close
Mhm.
attention. What
Yes.
about you, Kim? What would you like to add?
You said about the mom guilt. Yeah, I'm definitely guilty of that. Even though I have adult children now, I still haven't. It still hasn't sunk into my mind that yeah, you have this much fun money, go spend it. I'm still really hesitant. Like, oh, I'll look at some. Oh, that's too much. I'm not gonna spend that. And it's actually my children like, Ma, go have fun, do something. Like I just spent the weekend in Florida because they were pushing me, like, go have fun. You get so used to mastering surviving that when you finally have some little degree of success or something, like you said, normally you want to spend more and go out to eat more and things. I'm still stuck in mastering surviving. I can't
I
get
love
past
it.
it. Yeah,
Well,
like people are
though,
just
with adult
pushing me to do
kids,
stuff.
you
Yeah,
never know when the adult kids are going to call you and say, "Hey,
right,
mom, I need 3 grand for tuition. So do you either want to give it to me or sign for a student loan?" And it's like, well, I'm
right.
not signing up for a student loan. So I guess I'll
Yeah,
Venmo it to you. Okay. So yeah, I totally get that. Uh, You
yeah.
know, it's so important to calculate your income because you need to know what
Mhm.
your starting point is. And this is going to really age me. I do a lot of makeup before I go on the air and I try to look a lot younger than I am. This is about to give it away. So back when I was a newlywed, back in the day, minimum wage was like $4.25. So my husband had a minimum wage job. I did not. I'm not really a minimum wage kind of girl. I look for opportunities where, you can do better. And so I
Mhm.
was making like a whopping 750 an hour. I mean, almost, I mean, I was doing great back in the day. Well, for some reason, even though we were both working and we hadn't had any children yet, we had no money. And we were living in married student housing, and that was $220 a month. It included everything except like your groceries.
Right.
And yet we had no money. And so I met with a mentor and they said, "Bring your checkbook." I'm like, "Do I have to?" They're like, "Yep, bring your checkbook." And we went through and in 1 month we had spent $267 at Taco John's. There's only 2 of us. For those of you watching, if you do not live in a place with Taco John's, I'm so sorry. I hope your life gets better. It is an awesome version of Taco Bell. Okay. And until you've had a super potato ole, you just don't know what life is about. But that was a lot of money back then. That was like an entire week's pay for me that went to Taco John's. So, guys, grab your checkbooks or pull up your banking app on your phone and really start to pay attention to where your money is going. Because once you know what you've got coming in from all areas, all jobs, all, extra stuff you might do, and then you know what your expenses are, now you can set some goals and you can create a spending plan. And that is where it starts to get really exciting. Am I right, ladies?
Yes.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Because now you can put some of your money to work for you and it can start
Exactly.
reproducing itself 24/7. So
Mhm.
let's keep going, ladies.
Okay.
Talking about saving, I think that people watching need to understand that there's a difference between saving and investing. We all need to
Yes.
save a little bit for those unexpected emergencies and expenses that can come up. You need a new
Mhm.
water heater, your car breaks down, things where you need money quickly. But that money doesn't grow. In fact, I get 0.09% at my savings account at my credit union. It's going to take 800 years for that money to double. So the purpose of saving is not to grow your money. It's not going to happen. Even if you're getting 1% at Capital One, it's still going to take 72 years to double. So this is not about growing your money. This is about being able to provide for your family if and when there's an emergency. Ladies, how much do
Mhm.
you try to save or, keep, in a really liquid account that you can access quickly? Like, what's the goal?
Hmm.
Basically, my goal, which I'm sorry to say, is if I have to have a motor put in my car, I try to have that money already set aside just in case that happens. Um, Say it does not happen, and I need to have get a pair of a tires, set of tires for my car. Well, that money is there. But I go to my maximum. What would I have to have for the maximum?
I
And
like
just
that.
in case it doesn't, I don't have to spend it on the maximum. I can always fill in with okay, I need to get a set of tires. Oh, I need to get my brakes changed.
Or like you all know, I just had to get my transmission and air conditioning completely redone in my car.
Yes,
Oh,
So
wow.
yes. I,
thank
I
goodness that happened. Thank goodness for savings, right? Because it's getting hot here in Tennessee.
yes, I
Yeah.
always look at the maximum amount and try to save that maximum so I know it'll cover everything else.
What
Hmm.
about you, Kim? What is like your personal savings goal? How much do you like to keep in there?
I like to keep 3 months of my housing costs. Whether you have a mortgage or you pay rent, at least have three months to be in case something happens. You just never know. And so that's pretty much what I've always stuck with. I was in the legal field for a long time. You have a job today, lawyer gets mad, you don't have a job tomorrow. So you want to make sure you be able to pay that big nut every month is your housing, the roof over your head. So I like to keep at least 3 months just for
Absolutely.
emergencies. Yeah, to have that covered. Hmm.
Now, if you
Absolutely.
guys, if you follow Dave Ramsey or, there's so many different financial gurus out there they're all saying the same thing, but they're just using a different way to say it. I think the recommended is 6 months of your living expenses,
Okay.
rent and mortgage, utilities, gas for the car, groceries, like everything.
Uh
And I will
huh.
say that's always been our goal. We never seem to quite get there because before we get there, something happens that
Right.
takes money from the account and we have to start rebuilding it again. But I do think that that's a very good goal to have. And Kim, I
Yeah.
love what you said earlier on another slide to pay yourself first. A lot of us go to church, we're women of faith. And so we're used to taking 10% and giving that in a tithe, or some people donate to their community or whatever charity they want to support. But it's just as important that we then take 10%, 5%, 20%, whatever you can do, and pay ourselves. Because what does that do for you? Margaret, if you have $10,000, we'll just say we all have $10,000 in a really liquid, savings account. How does that affect you? What does that do for you?
That give me options.
Wow. Wow, I
Sasha, we can't hear you.
I can't hear.
Can't hear you. Can't hear you. Well, that would definitely give me options. You know, I could pay myself some, maybe 10%, give 10% to my church and put the rest of it in savings.
Yeah,
And
I
you?
agree.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I would do the same thing. If I had $10,000 liquid in my account, the goal would try to be stay at the 10,000, but always
yes,
try to pay myself also.
yes, yes.
Yes, I agree with that.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can.
Yes, welcome.
For those of you watching, options, options. I have another
Yes,
stuck headset over there on my coffee table, but it's not charged yet. So I apologize. I absolutely love what you guys are saying about options. For me, though, I think the biggest benefit of having that money is being able to sleep at night and having that peace of mind so that when things like the pandemic hit, I'm like, okay, we've got some time to think about how we want to manage this, how we want to approach this situation. We don't have to panic yet, until eggs hit $20 a dozen. But no big deal. It's fine.
Well,
We just went out and bought chickens, so we're good.
yeah, savings is very important, because it wasn't long ago. I couldn't work. I was sick. I had surgery. Could not work for a year, and I basically lived a whole year off my savings. And that's one of the really important things that I'm trying to drive home here, is that you got to have a healthy savings plan, because you never know what might happen. Not saying that when it might happen, if it or you may want to say if it's going to happen, but it's when it's going to happen.
Right, right.
Because at some point, life just happens.
Yeah, life happens.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right, let's move on and talk about something really fun, which is letting your money replant itself and grow a whole new harvest. Wow, you can tell it's like gardening season right now because, I'm planting and harvesting, and it's just an awesome time in Tennessee, but it's so true. So the difference between savings and investing is that when you're investing, your money is being put to work for you, and it's going to grow if you do well. And so how early should people start with investing, Kim?
Oh, that goes back to having that conversation with your kids, right? Like, learning how to save and budget, and then learning how to make your money grow too. So how early? I would say as early as you can, because you want to make that money grow and grow and grow so that you have your focus on retiring. So that's the goal, right? Ultimately save enough and make your money grow and double so that you can retire and not have to worry about working. So that's what my mindset would be. Yeah.
I agree with
you. Absolutely. My youngest two children are 12 and 13. And when they were 11 and 12, they had been hounding me for a year. And I finally caved. They earned half the money, and then I paid the other half. And they invested their money in starting a business. This business is horrible. It gives me nightmares. It's disgusting. They bought these really, unique, lizards. And they're listening to me now. They know they have to be quiet, but they can hear me now. One of them bought a boy, one of them bought a girl. They, separate tanks, all of that. They researched. It became part of our homeschooling. Like, they learned everything about these lizards. And now they're breeding them. And they can sell these babies for I think $40-$50 a piece.
Wow.
And so what a great opportunity for them to not have to mow lawns, like I would have my boys do. But they're doing something they love with disgusting, disgusting reptiles that are just in my house. And it's so bad. But they invested their money in that business. And now, we're creating the accounts on social media and doing everything we need to do so that they can reach their buyers, and they're learning how to run a business. And that's so cool. And so I think the best day to start investing, since we can't live in the past, is today.
Yes.
Right now. If you haven't invested anything, start today. Now, what about diversifying? Should everyone just put their money into the stock market? All your money? What do you think, Margaret?
No. They need to speak with someone like us and try to determine what will work for them. And it all depends on your tolerance. If you have low tolerance, not wanting to lose money, or moderate or high tolerance. So,
So if you're in your 20s, you probably have a very high risk tolerance because you've got a long time to go before retirement. If you're in your 50s, we all experienced 2008. Boy, it takes a long time to rebuild what you've lost, let alone to gain any added value. So,
yes,
absolutely. And as human beings, it's our nature to attach emotion to our money because we work hard for it and we use it to take care of ourselves and our loved ones. So it's very emotional. What you need to do is speak with a financial professional who can be objective and share your options with you.
Yes.
Because you definitely don't want to have all of your eggs in one basket. As many of you know, we live on a very small farm, and we have literally put all of our eggs in one basket before. And then, one of the children fell and all the eggs tumbled out and we lost all of our eggs that day. So there's actual rationale behind that phrase. Don't put all of your eggs in one basket. Diversification is very important. A financial professional will be able to discuss with you your risk tolerance. Maybe yours is higher than it should be at any given age,
Yes.
as well as just look at where your money is and make sure that it's diversified so that if something, well, Margaret's right, when something happens, you will be okay.
Yes.
And that's really, really important.
Right, important.
Kim, do you want to share this quote with our viewers?
Okay, I have to come in a little closer.
Oh my
Let's
gosh,
see.
you're on a small screen. I'm so sorry.
Yes.
I'll do it, Kim. I'm
Okay,
so
thank
sorry.
you.
It says, believe you're halfway there. Keep hustling to the finish line.
Okay.
So for those of you watching, I just want to tell you the fact that you are even watching this webinar means that you are proactively doing something about your situation. You are gaining perspective. You're gaining a little bit of knowledge and education. You're taking those steps forward. Just keep going. Just keep going. So Margaret, if they were to call to talk to us, what would we give them?
We will give them a book, How Money Works. Stop being a sucker.
Yes, we would. And
Yeah.
you all know I love this book so much. It goes over the 7 money milestones and they are life changing. But then we take it a step further because the book, even though it's fantastic, it wasn't written for Margaret. It
That's
wasn't
right.
written for me. It doesn't talk about what do you do if you're a mom with 9 kids. I mean, it's not personalized. It's a great book, but it's not personalized. The personalization comes in with the no cost, no obligation meeting with a financial professional, where we will take those 7 money milestones and apply them to your specific situation. And then we'll make recommendations for you. So you are going to leave that appointment with so much understanding, so much knowledge that you will actually be able to apply to your life today and start making steps toward financial freedom, independence, just security, and reaching some of your financial goals, whatever they might be. What are some financial goals that people in their 20s or 30s might have, Margaret?
Oh, their 20s or 30s, buying a home,
That's a big
traveling
one,
more.
yeah.
That's what happened to me. I wanted to buy my first house and travel more. That was my goal.
Or maybe they've got kids and they want to send them to private school or put them in really expensive activities like,
Oh,
I don't
well,
know,
yeah,
horseback
that's
riding.
true. That was on my list too, and I managed to do all of that. And and it was amazing, just looking back. I had to pinch myself and say, man, how did I do that? And then I
Yes.
looked at it and say, oh, I saved, I planned, I did all of it, and that's how I did it.
Amen to that. Kim, what about people in their 40s or their 50s? What might their financial goals look like?
Their financial goals, I would think, would have to do with, you know, maybe getting a second home or something like that. Maybe they're pretty much set in their first home, and now maybe it's time to buy an investment home or something like that, or another property to try to make their money grow. I mean, that's something I always wanted to do. I wanted to live in one property and rent one out. So that's another way of making my money grow. And also
Airbnb.
people still want to travel. You know, hey, I had an RV. I rented it out on Airbnb. That worked out really nicely. You said Airbnb. So, yeah, I think that by the time you're 40, you kind of know which direction you want to go in, you know, and you're looking for the next big thing.
Yeah, and let's not forget the importance at that age of getting out of debt, planning for retirement. Retirement is looming for people in their 40s and 50s.
Yeah.
And just a lot of other goals that may be a little bit more specific for those of you watching. We can address all of those goals. And then we look at the one or two that are the most important to you, and we can make recommendations that will help you get there.
Yes.
And so for those of you watching, I just want to thank you. You can see our phone numbers are there on the screen. You can find us on social media. Please reach out. We will get you a copy of this book. Great information. We've also got another book coming out, I think in about a month, How Money Works for Women, Take Control or Lose It. Incredible book. And there's a lot that we can do for you. And this is our mission. This is what we do. This is what brings us joy. This is what we are good at, very good at. So don't hesitate to give us a call. And Margaret, Kim, I just want to thank you for taking time out of your evening to join me for this webinar tonight. I hope you enjoy your Air Force recruiting event, Kim.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Have a wonderful night, ladies. And to all of our viewers, thank you.
All right.
Okay. Take care now. Bye-bye. Bye, Margaret.
Bye-bye.